Our StrataScratch problem, Apple product counts, and this is a hard problem that was asked by Apple and Google. This will be a Python one and not SQL. We have to find the number of Apple products and total users within by language. We're trying to figure out which country, which languages are most used by our Apple products, which consist of these, which I'll put it here already. So these are what they consider a Mac device, and it's spelled a little differently than the instructions. So this is exactly, it needs to be exact. And we're going to output the language along with the total number of users. And this is what the final solution is going to look like. So English, number of Apple users, and number of total users. So in order to start this problem, we're going to have to look at this data set and join this data set, df1, with df2 by using a merge. So we're going to merge df2 on is equal to user ID. That's what we're joining them on. And how we're just going to use an inner join. And let's call this df. So now df is going to be our new data set. This is what it looks like when they're joined together. The next thing we're going to have to do is create an Apple data frame that essentially is a data frame that only counts Mac device products. So in order to do that, you have to use a df within the column name. We have to get the column name, which is going to be device right here. So device, and then is in Mac device. And this should run. Let's make sure it runs correctly. And it did. Here is the new data set. So this is the Apple one. However, we are going to have to group this by. So we're going to take the old data frame and do a group by language. So we're grouping by language, counting the user ID. How many users are there? And we have to count it, the number unique. So n unique. And then we have to reset the index, which essentially means this is going to shift. If you think about an Excel sheet when it's numbered 1 through 10, when you're doing this group by, it's going to drastically shift. So we don't need the 1 through 10 anymore. All we need is the new data frame with a count. So this is what it should look like. So if we didn't have the reset index, I guess it still works. Sometimes it doesn't work though. Sometimes you actually do need to reset the index because it's on a different scale if this had been numbered. Anyway, let's do the name. So we're going to name this, we don't want user ID, that's confusing. We want an Apple count. And let's run. Reset index. Name equal app. And we might have to put this here. Okay, there we go. And now it's reset. So the name goes in with the resetting the index. And that's why we have to reset the index too. Because now we can rename it here. The next thing we're going to do is get the total user count for the world. So we're going to have to not use the Apple product df. So it's going to be the same line of code. The only difference is we need this one. We need the original, the one with all the data. The one that's not filtered by Apple products. So it's been the exact same thing, except it's the original one. And this is going to be total count. And let's run df just to make sure. And this is what we want. So the final thing is we need to join the Apple df with this df. And actually, let's be very specific. This is exactly what they want it called. They want it called the N total users and N Apple users. I actually like this naming better. So now it shows up here. So now we need to create the final solution. So the final df is equal to Apple df dot merge df on. So this is going to be outer join. We need to join them together even if one doesn't have one. And I'm going to show you what that means. Let's run it right now, actually. So outer join on. So this is how, actually. We're going to join on language. See where this is the language. So we're joining the English. So on is equal language. How is there? And final df. This is not going to pass the final solution yet because we need to fill in missing values. Right here. Got fill in a 0. So if there was, so now it passes. If there was missing values, it's going to fill in a 0, and that's pretty typical.